Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So we are live for another episode of The Hiring Lens, but it's a Halloween edition, and I'm really excited to be joined with everyone once again. It's the last Friday of the month, and it's going to be a great show. So if you're already in here and you've joined us already, thank you for jumping on board so quickly. We'll get going in a couple of minutes after we do our introductions, because I'm sure other people will join as we get going. So look, welcome. Obviously, we do this every last Friday of the month. This month, we've basically decided to do a Halloween edition, which we've all dressed up for it. Jeremy's put a lot of work and a lot of time into the background, changing the hiring lens, and hopefully you're impressed with our costumes, which I must say, Thomas's is absolutely incredible.
I can't take credit for this, to be honest with you. It's my other half. So yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Impressive.
So shout out to Danny, because that is amazing. So look, let's get into it with the introductions. Thank you for joining us. My name is Aidan Murray. I am the managing director of Ayla Recruitment. We are a specialist finance recruitment company in the UK. Let's move on. That is all I've got to say. Honestly, I'm thinking, what more have I got to say other than get these questions up, because I'm so excited for how different this week is. Look, thanks for joining us. Love being here. Christine, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, Aidan, tell everybody what you are.
Oh, of course. Well, I am busting recruitment ghosts. So I'm technically a ghostbuster, but I'm a recruitment ghostbuster today.
I love it. Thank you, Aidan. Well, I am Christine Trippi, the author of Yes is the Answer and the founder of The Wise Pineapple, helping hotels and leaders achieve excellence in your hotels and in your four walls. And I am my inspirational message for Halloween is to be sweet. This Halloween. Let's turn it over to Jeremy.
I knew, Christine, that you wouldn't be some gory monster.
I know.
You had to be a wonderful bee, so thank you. I'm Jeremy Nichols. I'm a Gecko Hospitality. I do hospitality headhunting in the state of Florida. And my costume today is I'm an Evil Dead fanboy. It's not really a costume because I really am one. But as you can see, I got the right there, Evil Dead right there. I got little Ash Williams right over here in the corner.
Yeah, you need to bring him up.
Who, Ash Williams? Oh,
yeah.
Here.
Look at that, everyone.
Oh,
if you've ever seen Evil Dead, you know, and if you haven't, you should watch it. And you stink for not knowing it.
Fistful of boomstick.
Yes. I have posters of it, but I'll leave the fanboy out of the combo. Thomas,
Awesome.
you're up.
Thomas, let's get going.
I am the managing director of Edwards and Finn, and also host of ENF TV. And as you can see, I am a mummy this week. Thanks to my better half. So yeah, and obviously the background, we just went in today. So there you go. That's me.
I love it. I love it so much.
Hey, for those that are watching, please tell us where you're watching from. Right, yeah. And Christina cut you off.
No, I was gonna lead into that question for everyone. Okay. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Hey, want me to pull the question up for you?
Yeah.
Boom.
We want to know, what is your favorite horror movie? Tell us in the chat box, what is your favorite horror movie?
Everybody knows what mine is. I'm wearing it. I want to know what your guys' is before we get into the topics. I'm really curious. What's your favorite horror movie if you had to pick one?
I don't think it counts as a horror movie, but I'm going to say Poltergeist.
That's a horror movie?
Okay.
That counts.
Okay.
I'm going to go against my my outfit here, and I'm going to go something. I don't know if people would agree, but for me, it is mine. Just for relevance and the amount of times we've watched it, so I'm going to go for Scream.
Oh,
that's it. I always forget about that one, but that's a fun one.
Yeah,
mine's actually more of a modern one. It's called The Right with Anthony Hopkins in it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but oh my god, it's incredible, amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did not expect any of these. I could probably give you about 10 more of my favorites, but I'll move on to what we're here to talk about.
Okay.
So I made a post yesterday. Pull this down. I made a post yesterday about revenge ghosting, and it got legs. And what I mean by that, revenge ghosting, is I think that I don't know if you guys have seen this or heard about this too, but a lot of clients of mine and GMs and leaders in the industry are now like telling me that the hiring managers and recruiters, are being ghosted like crazy. So instead of just assuming things, I mean, I obviously talked to candidates, and some of them have admitted that they do it. And some of them are just saying things in my DM or on conversations that they're just sick and tired of the way they were treated during the pandemic. So now they don't care, and they're just doing it back. And in my poll, I think it was like 77% of the people that chimed in, like out of 500 people that voted, said that it's disrespectful, you shouldn't do it. And I agree, but it's still happening. So there's still about a quarter of people. And you got to remember, people that are chiming in on LinkedIn are hiring managers and TA and people in our profession. So like, I don't know how much to really gauge out of that poll, but it did get legs, and people are pretty worked up about it. And I think it's happening. I know it's happening because I'm hearing it.
Oh yeah.
What are you guys hearing?
Yeah, I mean, as seriously as you can take me in this outfit. So, yeah, I've actually had this conversation with a number of candidates actually, and it's been more from an advice perspective actually. So they've actually asked me, should I go back to them? And it was other recruiters or actually clients themselves. Tom, they've just contacted me, but I haven't heard from them in like 6 months. I'm thinking about just ghosting them. And that was the actual term. I'm thinking about just ghosting them. And my immediate response was, look, you don't, for me anyway, I just wouldn't burn bridges. You don't know what's going to happen down the line. You don't know what's going to happen in a couple of weeks, a couple of months, next year. And, you know, if you do this now, you could jeopardize it. Whereas if you just take the high road, be that better person, you can continue being who you are rather than going down a route just out of pure spite in a lot of ways. And again, it's needless. I would always say to any candidate, be that bigger person, keep the contact going. But if you play that game, you're going to be in the same boat as them, and you don't want that. If it's not who you are, don't do it. So I've had this conversation a couple of times, and that's been my advice to any candidates that I've spoken to, whether they're dealing with other recruiters or actually dealing with the employers themselves.
It's funny because a lot of us, well, everybody on this call are against it. And I think we've all been very vocal about this forever on social media. I mean, I don't know how many times I've talked about it and made videos about it. And it's happening to me. Like, why are you why are you doing it to me?
And that's so funny.
Like, I mean, okay. So I want to hear Aidan and Christine's response on this, but I want to bring up the question too. So everybody out there, if you're watching, I want to know, have you been ghosted? Or share with us an experience, or if you want to like vent and like let us have it, and go ahead. Let us have it.
And if you're watching it on the replay, put in their hashtag replay and give us your answer, because we'll be checking in. So I'm going to jump in here. And one thing I want to say is I wanted to Google. I went and Googled the revenge ghosting and whatnot. And I actually, the first two articles that came up were from 2018. Okay, so this is not actually a new concept. And what it started is supply and demand, just like anything. You've got all these hiring market or an associates market, and it just depends on where the weight is or the leverage is. Now, here's also the thing. I think throughout time, as employers had done their business, I don't think it was the expectation that you reach out to every person that applies or whatnot. I don't think, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And that wasn't the expectation. For example, tipping a housekeeper. A lot of people out there are like, what are you talking about? That's the thing. Again, I don't think they knew the expectation. And I think there's a lot of awareness being created once they're getting the feeling and getting it happen to them now, where we're going, okay, you know what? We haven't been respectful over the years because we didn't know we should have done that. And now I think everyone's learning.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I mean, the big reason why I'm so adamant about talking about it is because it did happen to me before I went on my own on a huge level. And it was horrible. And
I remember you saying you were at like final stage or something, and you were like, "I've done it. This is great."
Yeah, it was all and it was out of control. Like it was. I'll spare the long story again, but it was brutal. So I always carried that with me, and it made me who I am now as a recruiter, and why I'm so adamant about the recruiters that work for me. I'm always telling them, please. I mean, we're not perfect. Sometimes you might miss a DM and you might miss an email. Anybody who's out there watching on LinkedIn knows that LinkedIn DM is awful sometimes. And sometimes you just will be like, oh my God, like I didn't even see this. So sometimes it's an accident, and sometimes, but that's okay if you just remind somebody, right? Remind me once, I'll swallow my pride and apologize and get back to you. But ghosting is like when you're trying like over and over, like 3-4 times, and they're still ignoring you.
Right. Crazy. Well, that revenge ghosting, I, again, want to send the message to be sweet and put the energy in the world that you want to receive. So, yeah, you probably deserve to do that to them, but is that the kind of energy every war in the world was held on grudges. So let's not be that person. Be the bigger person. Be sweet, and doesn't mean you have to go and consider one of their opportunities. But just let them know clarity is kindness. I'm going to pass on this because I'm looking for a culture that supports da da da. So that's my thought on it.
My thoughts on this are similar to, I guess, what everyone's saying. In fact, I agree with everything everyone's saying. My take on revenge ghosting is that as an industry, we deserve it. I genuinely think that, and I'm talking about recruitment here, so not other industries. I just think recruiters deserve to feel what it's like to be ghosted. And for like months now, I've seen so many recruiters kicking off on LinkedIn saying, why are you ghosting me? Why are you not coming back to me? I work really hard. I do this, I do that. I put in loads of hours. I try to support your career. The best and the one thing I want you to do for me is to just come back to me. If you're not interested, let me know. And I think about the amount of times over the years that either you or another recruiter, not necessarily that person as an individual, but as a collective, we just haven't been good enough. So I actually think recruiters, if they're feeling it right now and they're feeling the stress and the pain of people ghosting them, then, great, feel it. Remember how it felt when we get out of this and we're in a different market, and then don't do it to people moving forward, because there are very good recruiters out there that will always go back to people, but generally there are more people. I don't know if there are more, actually, that's a lie, but there are a lot of people that don't go back to people. Yeah. And it is unacceptable.
Yeah, we also have to remember that this is a very small town, okay? And people have long memories. And right now, the job industry might be an employee's market, but it's going to change. It always does. It always flops back and forth. So right now, according to a survey by Indeed, 93% of employers keep records of ghosters, and only 7% say they don't. So you know what?
We do in our ATSs. I mark it if I'm
and you know what? My candidates do the same. Like, I don't know about your industries, but I working with qualified accountants in finance, they have to be very thorough. They're attentive. They keep spreadsheets. They know who get back to them and who don't. So if you're ghosting people now, when they become a hiring manager, they just won't work with you. So absolutely, that stat is perfectly apt. The one other thing I just want to say on this is that I don't think people have intentions of ghosting people. I don't think most people go, I just can't be bothered and I'm not going to go back to that person because I'm a bad person. Right. They do it because actually they struggle to fit in the time to do it and they feel overwhelmed. So majority of people, I think, as a collective, are nice people that, be sweet. They are generally looking for the best in people. Yeah. However, good news is easier to spread than bad news, regardless of if you're a hiring manager, recruiter, or in whatever profession you're in. So people avoid it out of kind of awkwardness and worry. And what we're now seeing is candidates having probably experienced being ghosted from hiring managers and recruiters are now seeing that they're overwhelmed with the amount of opportunities they're looking at, and they either can't get back to people or they feel bad saying, you know what, that isn't quite right for me. So they just dig their head, bury it in sand and move on. So people aren't being bad. They're just realizing that actually it's really tough. So I think everyone needs to remember this time and remember how they felt either as a job seeker or a recruiter and just be better.
Yeah. And that's what I meant about what I was saying is I don't think that in the beginning of time, if you will, that employers really realize that that's what they should be doing. They just know they're going to get a ton of applicants and the ones they pick are the ones they pick. If I didn't call you, I wasn't picking you. And I just think that we're all seeing that there's a better way to do that now, to build relationships. Because that applicant could be your future applicant or could be your future customer.
I could dig in a little bit with what Aidan said too, about most people that's not their intention, because for us, like when we're my recruiters on my team, we have, when we're reaching out to candidates, it's 6 attempts. Like we usually cap it off at 6 attempts, maybe even 7 sometimes. That's a lot. Like a lot of people that are watching are probably thinking like, oh my God, that's like, if they didn't get back to the first time, then they're not a candidate. But that's not true. And I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if did I ever share you the example of the attempts before with you guys? No?
Yeah, sure.
So a while ago, it used to be 3 attempts. And then probably about 6 months ago or within this year, I was getting it like blown up by my mortgage company, right? Because I own my home. So they wanted me to refi because the interest rates right now in the States are like out of control. They're like low as they can ever be, right? So there's a point to this. So I got it, like it was like a Wednesday night, got a text, got a phone call. I saw it was them, and I was just busy with my daughter. I was like making her dinner. Then the next day, same thing, boom, boom, boom. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I want to get back to them, but I got caught up with dinner or something. Then like this happened like 4 or 5 times. And like Saturday I was at Busch Gardens, and then Sunday I was at church or something, right? So like Monday is like the 5th attempt. And he finally texted me again, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Yes, let's schedule a call. I had every intention to speak to them. I kept on forgetting. I'm busy. My life is moving. I'm with my daughter. Once I'm out of work, we're moving. They're calling me at the times that are just really inconvenient for me. So after that happened, like I had this like epiphany. I was like, oh my God, I'm the mortgage company. So I called my recruiters the next day. I'm like, no more of this 3. We got to go 5, 6, 7 times. And I gave them the example. I go, they were calling me with good news. They were providing me with something that I wanted to hear. I just didn't have time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we need to do that. And if you are genuinely a recruiter who's giving a really good opportunity, there's nothing to be ashamed of reaching out to them several times. It's not like you're calling them with like a spammer or something. You're calling them with a job opportunity. So
it's the same thing in my business, when people inquire about having a training. I know that their lives are in the whirlwind, and so many times I've heard, oh, thank you so much for reaching back out because I just haven't had any time, but I've been wanting to call you. And I get it.
100%. And I think it's easy to forget that and think that actually you're either pestering somebody or that somebody feels like you're pestering them. But I guess we've kind of gone on to a new topic in some ways. But I fully agree that actually, you need to reach out to people more. And probably in a market like this where there's so many opportunities for job seekers, actually the one thing we need to be doing is following up with all of our prospects.
Want to shout out to the people watching right now, because I do see several people on different platforms watching. If there's anything you want to contribute, we like to bring it up. So just throw in the comments section and we will bring it up. You guys are quiet this week. Normally we get a lot of comments. So throw in some questions.
If it's on other platforms, I think they have to click the StreamYard link in order for us to see you.
Okay.
So
LinkedIn's pretty easy with it. We usually see it. But if you guys you're never going to throw us a question we won't be able to handle. You can throw us off guard. If you want to vent, feel free. I like that too.
But we also want to know your favorite horror movie. So put that in the chat box.
Absolutely.
Would Handmaid's Tale be considered horror?
I
I
haven't
think
seen
so.
that.
There's some of
I
that.
mean, it's a pretty
That's like a real horror right there.
Yeah.
pretty horrific storyline. So I think it classifies.
I would put that in one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life because it's so believable. So if you haven't seen it, Christine,
I haven't.
It's a tough watch, but it's a great show.
Yeah. Well, I have a poll for everybody if we want to talk about killer resumes. Are we ready to move on to killer resumes?
Yes.
So my poll for everyone is, how long do you think a hiring manager looks at your resume? What is your guess on how
I wish I had music.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you want to hear our answers?
Yeah.
Let's just see. I know. I think for some reason we're not seeing those comments. I was gonna look on.
Maybe I turned them off. I don't know, but
yeah, I want to try something.
Okay.
6. Oh, Phil. There we go. Phyllis has got one there. It's coming through. I was gonna just see something, make sure there wasn't any.
Phyllis, that's generous.
I just commented. 45 seconds was Phyllis's. All right, gentlemen, do you want to give yours? I'm going to tell you what this article said that.
That's mine. That's exactly the number I was going to say.
45 seconds. Okay.
No. 6. No, 6. 6 seconds.
Oh, 6 seconds.
That's what you said, right? Yeah.
I didn't even mean to put the right answer in there. But yes, that is the correct answer according to this article.
I swear to you, I say it all the time. I don't know where I got that number from. I don't think anybody ever told me that number. But us as recruiters, we get so many resumes. We literally look at that's why we like these not horrors, vertical resumes, right? We read down them real quick and it's like header, time, title, boom, 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 and we move it over. Then the people that are listening, yes, we do read your resume. We're talking about the first initial glance. Yeah. Once we figure out, did you meet these like quick specs? And before we actually get on the call with you, we'll dig in. But you have to weed through it in 6 seconds. To me, 6 seconds.
Yes, awesome. Well, I have to give a big shout out to Josh Schreiber on the comments there. You have such a funny sense of humor, so I love that you love Jason. I knew that about you. And 15 seconds is is a great guess, but a little bit over. It's actually 6 seconds. And I want to just say, Josh, be sweet. I just love you so much. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Josh, since you're a Jason fan. Who's scarier, Jason or his mother?
His mother.
All right, I have another poll. I want to ask everybody another poll.
Yes, do it.
Does your resume, or do you feel a resume should have objectives, not objections, objectives at the top of your resume? Yes or no? Put a Y in the chat for yes if you think they should have objectives at the top of a resume. Let's see.
Do you have an N for no?
I don't. I'm a yes girl.
I love. He inherited it.
He inherited it.
He did. He inherited the fear. Thomas, your head.
Oh, no.
Your head's unraveling.
Look at this. Look at this guy.
All right. So
objectives at the top of the. Jeremy, what do you think? Objectives at the top of the CV. What do you think?
I'm going to give a really brutal answer.
Yes.
I don't care.
Wait, Josh says depends on the circumstances. Okay.
If it's there, if it's there, like cool. I don't need it. I'm going to ask you on the phone. I don't think it's necessary to be there, but it's not like a deal. It's not a deal breaker. If you put it on there, I'm not going to go, oh, you have objectives. You're in the no pile.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't really care because I'm going to get it out of you on a call. Yes.
Well, that's what I'm learning on a number of sites that I checked on resume killers. It was to not have objectives at the top. And basically, they're too broad or too specific, either one. And think about how much does seeking a challenging position really say about you?
Oh, yeah.
So what they recommend is that you have a headline. So something like award-winning graphic designer or communications manager for fast-growing Fortune 500 company. This really says something about you, and it's a great headline to sum up your resume.
Yeah, just give me the meat and potatoes, because like objectives is like, again, I don't care. Like if you have it, fine. Sometimes it might hurt you because if you're not paying attention to what your objective is, and it says something like looking for XYZ, and you're applying to a few other different types of jobs and you didn't check your objective, the hiring manager might read it and go, well, it says here that you actually wanted to be this. Why are you applying for this job? So it might get you in trouble sometimes. So
that's exactly what it said as well. Yeah. Well, and I'll have to share with all of you, my resume has objectives and I'm going to change it.
You know what though? Like, if it's relevant to everything you're applying for and you're being very specific with what you're applying for, then it will probably work pretty well. Like, it's just when you have an objective that, as you say, is too generic or too specific, and then you're applying for roles that aren't that, then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. The same thing to be had with a headline or a personal profile, which we'll call it. Like, every CV for us in the UK, we want to have like 3 or 4 lines at the top, which is just like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I've qualified in, this is why I'm good, these are some headline achievements. But if you're too specific in there, especially applying to direct companies, like companies directly, you're going to get discounted. Like, I had a chap send me his CV that said he was only junior, but he said, et cetera, really keen, everything you'd expect, looking for a role within financial services. So obviously that's banking, that's hedge funds, that's you name it. But I had a conversation with him saying, are you just looking for financial services? Because I don't just do that. I do like a broad spectrum of finance. And he was like, no, I just want to be in finance. And actually what he meant was he wanted to be in finance or continue within finance, not financial services. So actually he would have been sending his CV to so many companies in the last 6 months that are just saying no, because they're media or manufacturing. And people just get discounted just by not saying the right thing on their profile.
Yeah. And again, as Aidan said, three or 4 lines tops. Anything more than that, nobody's going to read it. And if it's not punchy, clear and concise, there's no point in being on there. So that's the only thing I'd say. Clear and concise. Don't put anything on that first bit that is going to make anybody roll their eyes into the back of their head and get bored.
Right. They said if you're a beginner, sorry. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
He's scaring you right now. He's scaring you.
Yeah.
sorry, no, mommy.
This article said that if you are a more beginner in an industry, put a 1-sentence headline, and if you are a seasoned professional, then 2 to 3 sentences.
Yep.
So
I'm glad that I'm giving all the right answers.
Yeah, right. Well, I was excited to hear all of your answers because, again, this is not my area of expertise, and I have a lot of changes on my resume to do, but I've learned a lot just preparing for today's show. So here is another resume killer, and this is from a Harvard study. Resumes written with passive language can make for a very boring read. So using many words, first of all, when you use passive language, you use too many words, you're vague, and worst of all, it leads to a tangle of prepositional phrases. So for a stronger effect, career experts at Harvard suggest using an active voice in completing action words. So here were some examples they gave. This is a passive. 35% revenue growth was realized in our team over 3 years. Active voice is team achieved 20% revenue growth over 3 years.
I don't want to toot my own horn, Christine, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I have a YouTube video that has everything that you're saying. I swear, it's all about action words, right? Like we want to hear created, implemented. They're power. I didn't call them action. Called power words.
I like power words.
But yeah, and also bringing up like actual tangible like statistics and metrics or percentages, things that like numbers that you increase. I want to know what you did. Don't copy and paste the job description. I mean, from something and throw it in there.
Yeah, I love the examples because I'm a visual person. I need to see, like, you can give me the concept, but I need to see it put in an example. So here's just one more example for everyone. Another passive, and hear how many more words we use. A promotion to senior manager was given to me after only 6 months of working at the company. Active is promoted to senior manager after only 6 months.
Yeah.
So, and we need to keep our resume short and to 1-2 maximum pages. So this is a great way to be able to eliminate all
Get
those.
out of here.
He's speaking.
Get out of here. Let's move on.
Wait. Since we're talking, no,
So, Dean, where have you been?
You're in my camp.
You know this is divided. What are you trying to do on this Halloween Friday? You trying to divide us?
Wait, do you guys disagree about that?
Get the pitchforks.
Oh my
God.
God! This has been like a funny conversation.
Let me get a cigarette. You can sell me in.
Well, basically, it goes like this: Thomas and I are correct, and Aidan's wrong. No, we're a different industry. I mean, like depends. Like Aidan's field, it's a lot different. Like they have longer resumes. For Thomas and I in hospitality, we're used to 2-pagers. Unless you're in C-suite. I think it's fine to have longer resumes if you're C-suite, but
and with this article,
I'm free and easy with this at the moment. To be honest with you, as long as the content is relevant and current, then fine.
I wouldn't delete a 6-pager.
Crap, it doesn't matter anymore. You can get lost. Get off it.
I wouldn't delete you as a candidate. I just wouldn't read the page 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
and remember, a hiring manager is going to look at for 6 seconds. So, if you want it nice, clear, concise, boom, quick, impactful action statements that will catch their attention to continue on. When you send them all this verbose dialogue, it's not going to get paid attention.
But to defend Aidan,
Okay.
I'm sure, and maybe I'm wrong, Aidan, definitely correct me. We get annihilated with the resumes in our industry, and I think that he's got more specific. So I don't know, like if you have more time to dig in because it's very specific to what you need spec wise, Aidan.
Honestly, I think that you could ask anyone in any industry and they'll have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's just what CVs are like, right? They're so opinionated, and so will be someone in your industry that says 4 pages is fine, and there'll be someone that says 2 pages is too long and 6 is fine. Like it's just such a divided thing that you could argue it until the cows come home. Like my argument with the 6-second thing would be a 2-page CV and a 3-page CV
making a difference.
is still gonna get thrown away through a matter of words after 6 seconds and not have got to the second page if it wasn't good. Does that make sense? So whether it's 2 pages or 4 pages, they're only going to read the first page in 6 seconds anyway. So it's the first page that needs to grab your attention, and then the rest follows after that, whether it's 2 or 3. But
before we go to the next topic, I do want to say one more thing, because now you got me all cooking with grease,
all fired up
with resumes. I do think it's so important though, and it happens too often. It's all about optics and making sure you break up your resume and don't have the same font, same size all the way down. Like literally you want to make things pop. So header big, and then you want like your, experience bolded, and then have everything underneath of it, education bolded. So people, like we're reading it, we see the sections like boom.
Yeah. Subheaders, I think.
Yeah. And just bolded and a little bit bigger, and then just play with your sizing. But okay.
Yeah. Now, Jeremy, I have 2 things still that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I want to hear if I'm on the same page.
Okay, because I want to know what you guys think.
Right.
Okay, so this is what Gary Burnson says is the #1 resume killer, and he talks about not just listing accomplishments. He says your resume should be concisely and completely illustrate one major message, which, and I thought this is really key, is how I made things better for my employer while I was there. So I think there's just that one sentence with such a great direction for everyone to go into their resume thinking, that's the message I want to convey. Not all the things I've done, list. How did I make it better for my employer?
Good
so
question.
I love that. Well, thank you. Who said that? Because that's my next one.
Jay
This
said
one
it.
says, what do you all think? Let's do this. Put a Y for yes in the chat if you have your picture on your resume. That's what I want to know.
So who wants to go?
I also did a video on this, but I won't plug it because it was before I set up.
Let me pull that question up again. Since we're talking about it.
Oh, brilliant.
Wait, say that again. I was too busy pulling up this question. What did you say?
Aidan's not going to.
There's a video. Yeah, you do have a video about this?
Nobody admitting they have a picture. So I'm putting a yes in the comments for me because I have a picture on my resume.
Okay.
But
Right.
I'm learning. Let's see.
I was going to say, with regards to the picture, because I lecture at a number of universities, and CV is part of what we talk about. And international students, they'll actually say, yes, I put my picture on oh, they put this picture on there. They put their picture on their CV. Now, my personal response to this is always, unfortunately, we as human beings are very judgmental people. Okay, if we look at a picture and somebody looks too young, you're immediately getting associated with being too young for this job. If you're somebody that's got a picture on there, and unfortunately it's not the most flattering picture, maybe you've taken it because you've been out and with your friends on a night out, and you particularly thought this one was.
Don't use that one.
Yeah, these are the problem is that depending on the level that you're at, it's one of these things where it will do nothing but raise questions. It doesn't tell anybody, just because, I don't know, you're a particularly attractive person, does that mean that you're more worthy of getting this job? No. If you're somebody who's a certain senior in their age, does that mean you're right for this job? No. If you're somebody younger. So I think the only thing that a picture will do will only ever put barriers in front of something that will never have been there if it wasn't on there. And now that might be a bit of a controversial one, I don't know, but that's the stance I've always had. I don't know what you guys think.
Let's see.
Yeah, my view on that, and I'll be very, very quick, is it just opens you up to discrimination.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can drop the mic because Thomas said pretty much everything I said. Yeah, you articulated it very well, dancing around a very controversial issue. I think if you want to have it on there, fine, but it's not doing you any favors. Josh asked, so no photo on LinkedIn? No, yes, totally. Put a photo on LinkedIn.
Yes,
totally opposite. Totally opposite. Social media versus your CV.
Yes.
I know. I don't even know. Gosh, it's a challenging one. I don't know why it's just okay. I can't give you an answer, but it's social media, and it looks kind of weird if you have a LinkedIn profile and then it has that gray silhouette. I think who is this person? Is this even real?
Yeah, I won't even accept connection sometimes with somebody without a picture.
It's social. You know?
Now here's my thought on it. First of all, I have a picture, and I always want to be extra. I have colors, all this. My resume apparently is completely wrong. So I'm going to change up my resume. But this is what I want to say. I'm a hiring manager. Hi, everybody. Be sweet.
Christine, I'm so sorry.
That's what I want to say, though. You can never be 100% right, 100% wrong, because the person who's receiving it might be, I won't even look at a resume without an objection. One might be, I won't even look at a resume with an objection. You're always going to have somebody different. Now, the article that I read did also recommend not having your picture. They'll go to LinkedIn if they want to look. Okay. Now, but the other thing I want to say is that
I like the author of that article.
Yes, but I think that was the same Gary Bursman guy.
Thanks, Gary. Good stuff.
Good. Thanks, Gary. Mine with the orange and the picture and whatnot. I know for me, I'm this kind of person, and if I'm collecting resumes, that's going to jump out to me. I'm going to look at that one first because that's who I am. I am extra. Unless instead of just seeing a white piece of paper with black writing, it's not going to appeal to me as much. So I'm just saying that, kind of know where that's going. If you're applying right to a general manager, maybe that's a great way to go. If you're applying to somebody who's taking in 1,000 resumes at a time and just churning it, then you want to be as average as possible. I don't know. I'm just thinking that for me, I would be like, oh, I want to look at that resume.
Yes, I was going to say, Josh. Can you bring up Josh's comment there?
Yes.
What is that?
So won't an employer check out a LinkedIn profile and make those same judgments? Just saying devil's advocate. And absolutely, yes. So they will.
It's like we're contradicting ourselves. I'm still going to stay put with the resume. You can do it. Yeah. It's just not going to help.
Even if it will help if you're the person that looks at a resume and goes, "Oh, they look so nice. Let's get them in here."
The only thing I'd say is if they will look at your LinkedIn profile anyway, why do you need the picture on the CV?
You don't need it, and honestly, everything I read was don't have it. But but then you look at all the samples. Look at Canva. Every sample practically has a picture. So somebody's saying you should. I don't know.
Jay, if you won't accept a resume without a picture, look. If you're not accepting resumes, period, right now, and you're a hiring manager, then you're crazy. Yeah. Like at this rate, picture, no picture, color, no color, same font, fine. I'll let it slide. I don't care. I want good candidates.
And it's not a case of not accepting a CV. Like, it will still get accepted. It will still get looked at. So again, it's all up for debate and opinion. But so after having your CV accepted, you might just find that you're not getting considered because someone has chosen to discriminate on whatever reason and whatever grounds. But they're also going to do the same thing by looking at your LinkedIn. So I do appreciate that. If they don't discriminate you there for whatever reason they choose to, they might then go to your LinkedIn and do it. However, not all employers are on LinkedIn. I don't look at CVs that are coming in. One, I don't discriminate. So put a photo on your CV for all I care. I just personally advise you not to. Yeah. But when I'm looking at 100 CVs, I'm not looking at the CVs and then their LinkedIn profile straight after. I'm looking at their CV, whether it's relevant, their achievements, and then I'm narrowing down the shortlist. But employers are doing the exact same thing, and then imagine giving them the opportunity to discriminate against you when they don't discriminate against the other 50 CVs they're looking at because they don't have a photo. So there's no right or wrong, just cover your back.
I have one other perspective, and I think Josh will appreciate this because we are we are hoteliers. I always am in the thought of be guest ready. Okay. So my bathrooms, I want it set up for the guest, not for how I think it should look. I want it to be user friendly. So even in that article that I read said the hiring manager, if they're interested, they're going to go to your LinkedIn profile and look at your picture. So in my mind, I want to be hiring manager ready. Here it is. You don't even have to take the step to open up your computer, go to my play and take a look. Here it is.
Yeah.
Christine, though, like you're not wrong. Like, you're talking to 3 recruiters here who do this all day long. Right. So if I step outside of my recruiter world and think I'm in operations at a property and I only have a certain amount of searches, maybe you're right. Maybe I would get excited seeing a picture, being like, "Oh, look at Becky. She wants to be your front desk manager." Maybe you are correct. Like, but you're talking to people who are thumbing through resumes all day long. So to us, I'm on Aidan and Thomas's side, but I also understand you're from operations. So is Josh. So maybe I'm willing to, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I know that HR person's going to go to LinkedIn. Let me save you the step. Here I am.
Right. I just.
Do I prove my point when I say CVs cause a division between the Halloween hiring lens?
CVs always cause division between us since the Clubhouse days.
Yeah. If you want a poll to bang, put out what's the perfect CV. 1 page, 1 to 2, 3 to 4. I mean, anyone that wants a bit of viral traffic, they stick it out and they get a lot of comments.
Right now that 2 will win.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it's a safe bet.
Can I also add a best practice? Christine, be about that life. Yeah, I love it, Josh. Okay. I want to also give everyone a best practice. And that is something I just learned maybe about 3 months ago, that on LinkedIn, you can go to where your name is and add a message or how to pronounce your name. And I think that's really good, because if that hiring manager is a little confused on how to say your name, we've got a lot of unique names out there, you can go ahead and add that. And I actually even added a little message, just a quick soundbite of me. And so that's another great opportunity, that if you're posting, that HR professional is going to look, and having that how to say your name and maybe a little headline. Love that idea.
You can even do a cover video now.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
yes.
I need to do. It's on my to-do list of.
Go and check out my cover video. Tell me if I need to work on it. I know I've got it horizontal, and I need to make it. Oh, it's not. I need to change it. But
everybody, make that your action item today, to go to Aidan's cover video and rate it.
Yeah, tell me if it needs work, please. Because I got everything myself. I don't have anyone I can be like, oh, hey, can you tell me what this looks like? Because being lonely, a lonely recruiter, I have to basically just make my own opinion on it.
I know, being independent.
Which means you're always right.
Yeah, exactly. You're always the smartest person in the room, Aidan.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. And that's a lie, because you are, but thank you.
Since we're on an Aidan kick right now, we have another topic.
Okay.
That Aidan, you actually kind of started this topic, and then we kind of bounced back and forth. So I'm going to bring it up. It's a little zombie recruiters, right? So this can mean many things. And I guess if we go around the clock real quick, what does that? Look at Aidan froze. He looks really scary, like a real zombie right now. Thomas, if you think of a zombie recruiter, what do you think that is? And then when Aidan comes back from being frozen as a zombie, we'll ask him what he thinks it is.
I was going to say, I honestly, if a zombie recruiter, I'd say slow-moving, non-active, non-responsive, very slow to respond, I guess would be my guess. But what would be a zombie recruiter to Aidan, I suppose, because it was his thing. What
I know what it was. I'll tell you, I'm with you. There's a lot of complacency going on right now with recruiters. And I think the biggest killer right now for people who want people, if you want people at your hotels, your resorts, your clubs, if you want people, move quick. Yeah, probably technical difficulty.
Well, Jeremy, let me stop in here really quickly. I want to include everybody who's on board here, because they're not recruiters, but what we're also talking about is yourself in your career. Have you ever been a zombie in your career? Give us a why in the chat for R and for no. Why? Yes, I've been a zombie in my career and I own it, or no, I've always shown up full on. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah. I'll humble myself and tell you I was. So that's kind of prompted this a little bit. Before I went on my own, when I was corporate, the last year absolutely was. It was just 10 years of the same hamster wheel. And I realized that, and I wanted to switch it up, and I did. And now I'm doing what I do now, and I love it. And I'm back to like feeling the way I felt earlier in my career, but it happens to the best of us. It's not a bad thing. But you got to recognize it and don't stay like that forever.
Right. Yeah. And my tip is that this is what I always say. Yeah, Josh, I hear you. You've also been there. Is when you start hitting the snooze alarm every morning, that means you're not excited to get up and what you're showing up for every day. So maybe it's time to figure out how to rejuvenate what you do, or maybe it's time for that next move, whether it's in the company or out of the company. But paying attention to that flow and, the excitement, the energy you're feeling, and are you hitting the snooze a lot? That's a great indicator that you're not excited for what you're going to get up for.
Yeah.
I never hit the snooze, even when I was complacent.
Really?
I feel like it just drags out my sleep more than it should. But I know. Oh, here's Aidan. I know what Aidan was. Let me add to him. What Aidan was talking about when we were talking about zombie recruiters, and I'll give it to him right now. Aidan, do you want to chime in about like what's going on with the market and the pace?
Absolutely. First of all, was it a really good zombie freeze?
It was awesome.
It froze awesome.
Did you take a photo of it?
I did.
It's simple. I mean, it was there for like a minute. Like,
Oh, of course, right. Yeah, okay. That's my new profile picture on LinkedIn.
This is mine.
Resume.
God, how annoying. Right. Anyhow, zombie recruiters. I mean, everyone's feeling this right now. The pace needs to be at 100, and in most cases, it's probably it needs to be at 100. It's usually at about 60, and it's at like 50 right now. That's how I'd probably describe it, because everybody needs to move a lot quicker, because the amount of opportunities that people are looking at is so extreme. I had one person this week that had 7 interviews in 1 week. I had one person that I registered last week that had no other interviews. And then by the time the hiring manager came back to me, which was like 3 days, they then had 4 other interviews in other jobs, and they could no longer fit in an interview for this role, even though it was the first role that they were spoken to about. So it's crazy right now. Genuinely, really surreal. It's a market I've never really experienced, where you actually have to firefight really quickly and promote jobs very fast, give people real reasons to join you, attract them in the right way, secure them quickly. And it's almost as if we're saying that, and you need to do it as an employer, but the employers maybe just aren't getting it yet. Some are, a lot are, but there's a lot that are sticking to their same old habits, and it's tough.
I've been recruiting for over 20 years, and I'm telling you, I've never seen it this crazy. And what was really difficult for me and us, I'm sure, Thomas, Aidan, as much as we have good relationships with our clients, it's still like when we tell them this, it's almost like I know in the back of their head, they're thinking, oh, they're just being provocative. They just want to make the placement. They just want us to move quick so they can make their money. Yeah, okay. Sure, there's an element of that, but I'm honestly telling you this because you're going to lose the candidate. Like, you really are. So, like, I'll argue with you. You are correct about the placement, but why would I risk ticking you off and risk this relationship and the possible hire if I didn't believe that this candidate is really going to be gone?
Yeah.
And it's happened some clients will listen, some of them will, a couple of them they'll lose, and then they'll listen after a couple times, like, hey, can I talk to Brian? I'm like, I sent him to you last week. Yeah, can I talk to him now? He's gone. What do you mean he's gone? He just got hired. I just told you that you had to move quick.
Yeah. So my opinion on it is simply that we're trying to recruit in the same way we always have, but the time is now that we have to adapt that. We have to change. And I'm not saying compromise on the quality of your recruitment, but just speed it up. Get the steps in between first and second and third stage, or however many stages or whatever you need to do. Just speed them up, combine them, combine an assessment and a second interview. Just be quick, because you're losing people.
Yeah.
Mummy Finn?
I've done a few things with regards to actually the process in which I take on a job that I have adapted because of the market. And they're very simple things. In a lot of the cases, sometimes we do them, but it's actually become standard practice now for Edwards and Finn to do this on every single job. So when we initially talk to the client, as Jeremy said, if you're good at what you do have a trust between you and your client. A lot of my clients use me exclusively on a lot of their jobs, and therefore they expect a certain level of service. But every single time I'm having a conversation, I have to say, on a side note, I need to stress this to you. This is the market as it stands right now. So if you don't move when I tell you to move, you'll lose the candidate. Simple as that. If you do not move when I tell you to, you'll lose them. And I've had client after client feel this. And I've not said, look, I've told you so, but I've said, look, next time we need to do this. The other thing that I've been doing, which has been a really simple thing, is getting the dates from the client. Right, next week, if I find you 5 candidates this week, next week, what dates can you do? They give me the dates. And then when I submit the candidate, I put on their details, because I put a few details under each of their names in the body of the email. And I say they can do Wednesday at 4 o'clock, like you said. This candidate could do Wednesday at 3, like you said. And then all they've got to do is say, yeah, book those guys in. It takes away that sort of back and forth that you sometimes have of, Oh, okay, this is their feedback. I'm just waiting on dates for interview. You've already got them. You've got the dates from the candidate, you've got the dates from the client. You just match them together and off you go. So as Aidan said, I think there is a big balancing act here right now of compromising on quality of the CVs and actually quality of the placement. Because what clients are now doing, and I've had it myself, they've gone from having interview processes that maybe take 2, 3, even 4 weeks, and now they're doing it within days. They're literally offering within 4 days of submission to offer. And with that, we as recruiters then have a bit of anxiety to say, shit, am I going to get a call in 3 months' time to say, look, they haven't worked out? So there is a balancing act, but there are processes that are really simple that, as I say, we sometimes do, we sometimes don't. But now they're in the process, it's cutting out so much time and so many issues.
Yeah, you know what? And also, I mean, speaking, this is going probably just to headhunters out there. We all have our desk and our requisitions, and I literally go through every week with my recruiters. And if we catch people that are sleeping at the wheel and stuff, like we'll move them to warm searches. Like, trust me, like if you're not moving with us recruiters and you're not communicating to us, we're going to wipe them off the dashboard. You might be thinking like, oh, he needs us. Trust me, we're busy. We are busy right now. We have plenty of searches. And if you are not moving quick on these candidates, they're going to go.
Yeah.
And
we'll place them somewhere else.
Recruiters aren't going to work on them. Yeah, we're going to place them somewhere else. We're going to move them somewhere else.
Right. Well, I know we're wrapping up soon, and I wanted to just mention Josh's comment here. He was talking about that he's not for so many job posts, but that there's nothing. He's not seeing the passion from the leaders who are hiring for those positions. And so I asked him to clarify, and he's talking about how that they really just don't seem to be able to sell what they're really selling as a position. And that's most likely, and Josh, I know you can attest to this, because they're so overwhelmed. They're so short-staffed. It's hard to be like, oh my gosh, you're joining the largest hotel company in the galaxy, and we're so excited, and I just freaking need my front desk covered. You know, it's like that pressure. So that's another workshop that they actually gave this week to a bunch of golf executives and golf club owners and leaders about onboarding and how we need to tap into the emotion. So as hard it is right now, if you're a leader out there and you just don't have the time for the fun, you've got to make it, because just because you've made the hire doesn't mean it's over. 45% people, I forget the percentage. I want to say I want to say that it is 36% of people will leave within the first 45 days. I might be getting the percentage wrong, but within the first 45 days, you have a good portion of people who will leave. So if you're not tapping into the emotion, you're not going to keep them. And remember this, people buy on emotion and justify with logic. So you've got to tap into the passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay asked me,
where's the foghorn on that one? That was terrible.
Oh my God. I know.
Here, wait.
I turned my phone off because everybody was texting me, so I just turned it. Jay asks, are employers more understanding about long gaps in your resume due to COVID? Is COVID understood as a gap? Well, Jay, can I be a Debbie Downer? Because unfortunately, there are some who are going back to old habits. And guess what? It's up to us as recruiters to really drill. Hey, you do understand that, blah, 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 blah. I don't know about Aidan, Thomas, but unfortunately, there's some that are going back to old habits. Most people understand, and they should, because it sure as heck is a gap. But there's lazy zombie recruiters out there and hiring managers that, yes, are saying, why was he sitting on his couch for 18 months? That kind of crap.
Here, I want to put in this. Being furloughed from COVID was a job for me. I took classes, I networked, I invested in myself, so those are all things you can put down during that time that show that you weren't sitting home watching Netflix. Yeah. You were investing in yourself. So you don't have to have any gap at all, really.
So that's, to me, like, as a recruiter, when I hear that stuff, that's automatic. Like, okay, I'm not working with this person, but that's up to the recruiters out there to be bold enough to have those conversations with
Yeah.
their clients. So it is happening.
And guide that person. I know as a stay-at-home mom, for some of the people I know, the stay-at-home mom that did that, they put down I was a PTO leader. I led Girl Scouts. You weren't at home eating bonbons all that time. You were a leader in your community, and that's skill. So you never took a break. You were working, but in a different way.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, there are some. Thomas, Aidan, did you guys hear anybody go back to old habits yet?
I haven't, no. If I'm
No,
honest.
not yet. Not yet. I think people here, they're pretty understanding. And you know what? The one thing I'll say as well is, if you're watching this back, and what Christine said there about investing in yourself and networking, and I don't know, going to the gym, running, like whatever you have done, right? Like that's amazing. That's great. But also, if you have been looking for work and there's just been no work out there because of COVID, and you have just sat around and kind of just been a bit down because it's a pretty shit time we all went through, that's okay too. So I don't think you necessarily need to have this like huge reason, or this huge explanation of what you did in that period of time. Yeah. Most people are accepting that it hit people differently, right? Like,
once I see 2020 on a resume, I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
But,
I want to say, putting something that fills your passions. You know what? I took this time to fill my passions, and I traveled the United States. I visited 20 national parks. That is awesome. You learn so much about traveling and learning and getting out in the world. That's an education in itself.
But I did say this a long time ago, and I'll say it again. If there's a company that holds you being furloughed against you on a resume, you don't want to work for them anyway.
Yeah.
So like, yes, it's happening, but you don't want to work there. And trust me, the market is all yours right now, candidates. There's a few that are left hanging out, waiting. Events are still waiting. Conference sales are still waiting. Yes, I know that those beautiful people are still waiting for the opportunity. It's coming. That is coming back. Unfortunately, they were let go first and the last to come back. But good Lord, food and beverage right now. Thomas, you don't do food and beverage. That thing is the most insane amount of requisitions I have. I'd say 75% of my chefs 75% of them are sous chef, CDC, executive chef, everywhere, all over the place. And they are like, they can command whatever they want right now. They have, their 2019 levels, their salaries now are at bare minimum 10K more. 10K more now.
Let me ask you boys, what do you think about this? Something I've gone through my mind. Right now they have to pay high to get everybody. Now, if things start to level out, do you think people who were brought in at those high numbers are going to be let go?
It's not going to level out.
No.
Okay.
They're gone. If they did, I don't know how to answer that question, but it's not. I'm telling you right now, this is being recorded. Watch it on replay. This is here to stay. This is and it's going to get even crazier. You guys remember Q1 21? I was like telling you guys how crazy it was, and it wasn't really caught up yet in London with you guys yet. And I told you, watch out, and now you guys are feeling it. I'm telling you right now, 22 quarter one is going to make Q1 21 look like child's play. 22, buckle up. If you're not benching your team right now, and if you're just thinking you're waiting for season, you're crazy. And think about us on this call right now. Like, we make our living placing. So like, if this is ruffling feathers, I'm sorry, but like, candidates are going to be harder and harder to get. Harder. And the ones that were gainfully employed and treated well, they're loyal. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
So now it's making my job even harder. I'm going after people left and right that are working all the time. That's where I make my money. But it's taking extra elbow grease and networking calls and very, very relaxed conversations to get these people on the phone. The future is bright for us in headhunting. Sorry, people, if you're not building your bench right now, you need to do it.
Yes. And let's leave everybody on something sweet.
Yeah, let's wrap up. I think you're right. We've gone way over an hour.
Wrap up with Thomas.
Yes. It's a great time to negotiate a great salary. That's what I'll leave you with. Have something sweet. All right, let's wrap it up, everybody.
All right, so let's go backwards. Thomas, to me, to Christine.
All right. So, guys, again, Thomas Finn, Managing Director of Edwards and Finn. You can catch me over at LinkedIn. Not the same picture as this one, but it's Thomas Finn, Edwards and Finn, LinkedIn. You can also find me over at YouTube, which is Edwards and Finn. It's basically a weekly channel where we bring on commercial leaders every single week. I think there's just over 80 episodes now, actually, where we go to loads of different events, but we also do interviews online as well. And then finally, you can check me over at Instagram, where we update on everything that we're doing, and you can see everything that we've actually been doing today on there. So, yeah, that's me.
Normally, Thomas has fantastic hair. Right now, it's all wrapped up, and we can't see it.
Somewhere.
Boom. Before I go into my bit, the two topics that we were going to cover, we'll just bring them to the next one, which was salary negotiations, which I think is so huge and so important. And I really, really, really want to share this with so many of you out there because I have a lot of opinions on it. And I know everybody here does too. I love talking about salary negotiations. That's fun for me. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a nerd about it, but and then we'll also talk about resumes and ATSs. We'll touch on that next time as well, if you guys are okay with that.
Yep.
We're all going to fall out.
Salary negotiation conversation needs to happen, and the taboo topic we never touched on too.
Yes.
There
Yes.
we go. We already know our topics, guys.
Yes.
That one's been like kicked around the curb forever. I'm Jeremy Nichols with Gecko Hospitality. I do hospitality recruiting in the state of Florida for hotels, resorts, clubs, private estate, restaurants. If you want to get a hold of me, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's the same. Well, no, this face, but with an actual tie on. You can just look me up, Jeremy Nichols. You can find me on YouTube under my same name. Boom, right there. Jeremy Nichols, pretty easy to find me. And I'm on all the other ones, Twitter, Facebook, but I'm really the most active on YouTube and LinkedIn.
Awesome. Christine Trippi, be sweet, lead from the heart. thewisepineapple.com. And thanks for being here. Again, I'll just leave you with be confident, be empowered, and lead from the heart. Love you guys.
Love that. And if you're still with us, my name's Aidan Murray, and I'm the Managing Director of Ayla Recruitment. I don't have my own YouTube channel, but if you want career advice or you're hiring or looking for a job in the UK in finance, you can find me on Aidan Murray on LinkedIn. So it's been a pleasure. Love you guys. And we'll see you next month.
See you guys later.
Halloween.
Bye, guys.
Happy Halloween.
See ya.